Hey everybody, welcome to another Friday afternoon, another Cook Along Live. Gotta love these days. Always a rush to get these things set up, but I think we're good. All right, who's ready to make some chicken tikka masala? Welcome to the show, everybody. Happy Friday, my name is Robert. As always, I will be your host today. We are making chicken tikka masala. I actually think I don't have any tomato sauce, so this might be an interesting one. I might have to go and scrounge around and see if I can find some. One thing you always forget off the shopping list is the most important. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? First thing we're going to do, hopefully you have your chicken. Maybe you guys already took care of this step and have your chicken marinating from the night before. That's cool. You can just watch me work, and we'll get all of this squared away. Basically, you want to create little 1-inch cubes like so, and just toss them into a little bowl that you can marinate them in. Go ahead and do that. So right now I'm just chopping up my chicken, 1-inch cubes, 1-inch pieces. Boneless skinless chicken thighs. You can use chicken breasts. They're just a little bit drier when you cook them, so you just be expecting that. And when you're cooking these guys, or when you're chopping them up, they don't have to be perfectly sized. Actually, a little bit of variety makes things fun. Make sure you're cutting across the grain. So I don't know if you can see that in this camera here. However, the grain is running this way, and you can actually see the chicken grain running that way. Cut across the grain so it doesn't fall apart. If you need to cut it with the grain to get uniform kind of sized pieces, that's all good. But then just keep going back to cutting across the grain for most of your cuts. And now what we're going to be doing is marinating this in a yogurt sauce, which is actually really tasty. Not on its own, after it's marinated. We're also going to be making a pickled cucumber and mint salad. And I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of mint, usually, in food. Hello, cat. However, in this, it actually works really, really well. If you like your chicken tikka masala a little bit spicy, this actually also kind of tempers some of that spice with the yogurt. There we are. I see Jesse mentioned maybe moving these to a different day once shelter in place is over. Is that something that anybody would like to do? Anybody want to talk about that? Is that a good idea, bad idea? I'm happy to move dates if that's something that's going to work better for others. I'm also happy doing them on Friday afternoons. This kind of ends my week, which is nice. I'm sure that a lot of you guys get a good weekend out of this. No pun intended. Cat is singing in the background. And tonight, we also might have a couple of special guests. I invited some of my colleagues over, since I usually have a ton of leftovers, and I actually make most of these dishes twice during the week. I make them once just to test them, and also to get a nice picture out of them, because I can't use other people's pictures without violating copyright. And then I also make them on Friday nights, so that's a lot of the same food to eat during the week. Not a huge deal. I mean, most of what I make is delicious. However, I guess all of what I make is delicious. However, it is usually a lot of leftover food. So I invited a couple colleagues over tonight. They're going to be showing up later towards the end of the cook-along. And we'll see if they disrupt the dog. Maybe I could text them and have them bring me some tomato sauce. But as we kind of move into a more open ability to hang out with people, small groups, etc., I'm probably going to start having people come over to join me for these. So if you would like to come over and chip in and bring something, that would be fantastic. We can share a delicious meal. And if you're not comfortable being on camera, don't worry, I won't put you on camera. You'll also get to see the ridiculous way that I make all of these Cook Along Lives with all the camera gear and computers. But it's usually a pretty good time. If we're open by 4th of July, I might figure out a way to do like a outdoor barbecue for 4th of July. This being on Friday is good for Felicia. Etienne and Jesse are both thinking something on the weekends. I'm really not going to be doing Sunday. I can't do Sundays. Sundays are my day where I don't do anything, but play video games. Trying to plan something like this on a Sunday is just not going to work for me. Saturday would be doable. Fridays obviously are doable. But Sundays I'm prepping for the rest of my new week, and great idea, but it just won't work with me. What are you 2 glasses into, by the way, Jesse? I'm drinking a Waldo Special Ale. It's my last bottle from this year. And Kat, oh my gosh. I'm gonna let you go outside just so you never come back. Last bottle of Waldo Special from the year, and it's absolutely delicious. You can also do the cook-alongs other days. That's why I record them. That's why they're on YouTube. You don't have to necessarily, I mean, yes, I understand the idea is to cook along with me on a Friday night. Now I've got sink cam back. So yes, I understand that the ideal situation is that you're going to be cooking along with me on a Friday night. And while I encourage that, I know that it doesn't work for a lot of people. Felicia's on the East Coast. I have a couple of other people watching on the East Coast. A lot of people, for like when they're in my industry in real estate, Fridays are kind of like the day that you start getting started for your work week, which is the weekend. So I understand that this isn't ideal for everybody. However, maybe a Saturday would work. But again, it's on somebody's day off, and what's the possibility that you're already going to have plans on a Saturday night? So those are kind of the reasons that we're asking, or that I'm asking, I guess. My production crew consists exclusively of me. Just chopped up chicken. I'm going to wash my knife off. That is the only meat that we're cutting in this cook-along. And I'll come over and sanitize my board later. I've got a second cutting board that I'm using for all of the veggies and everything else. All right, and we're back. Cool, so we got the chicken. It's chilling over in this little bowl over here. And I'm just gonna kind of like flatten it out. Now I want a little mixing bowl. Kitty, please calm down. I do not know why you're going nuts. You have food, you have fresh water. I try and set them up before we do these cook-alongs so that there's no reason for them to bother me, and yet. All right, so we are gonna actually do 1 cup of yogurt. I'm gonna use a 1/4 cup measure just because it's smaller and actually fits into the yogurt thing. I'm also gonna take a spoon and just kind of stir it to get any of that moisture that kind of accumulates at the top reincorporated into the yogurt. And then the spoon's gonna go into there. I'm just gonna do 4 of these 1/4 cup measures. Try and get as much out of the 1/4 cup as you can. This just works a lot better than taking a single cup and trying to fit it in. You can also use a small spoon, fill up the 1 cup measure, and do it that way. However, I like doing it this way. Got a cup of yogurt. Let's rinse this off real quick. How do you guys like the music? It's free. Well, it's not free. It's royalty free. So got it from a website. I give the creator of it props. Found 3 songs that equal about 10 minutes, so I can give myself time to get kind of ready. And is that working a little bit better than the silence that was That was starting these things off. All right, I'm gonna set that over to the side. We're gonna do 1.5 tablespoons of minced garlic. I've got 3 cloves. I've already taken the skins off. I'm just gonna smash them down a little bit like that. Cut them lengthwise. I'm just gonna cut them all right now. Cat, I'm not letting you outside. You're not allowed out there. There we are, and then I'm going to turn this whole thing 90 degrees. And we'll chop this into a mince. This is going to go into the yogurt. And now I'm going to take a second and text my colleagues that are coming over and say, hey, can you pick up some tomato sauce? Because I'm 99% sure I don't have any. Pat, do I need to lock you in a room? I might need to lock you in a room. Let's see. Messages. So this is quite honestly cooking on the fly. How embarrassing. It's almost like I'm not a professional. It's almost like I'm not a professional chef. I like to incorporate everything as I'm going. So I'm just gonna get the garlic and stir it into the yogurt. Now we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of ginger. So I've got this little knob of ginger, and the best way to peel ginger is not to grab a peeler, but to grab a small spoon. Then all you have to do is kind of rake it over the side of the garlic like this, and the peel comes right off. And you're not taking off huge chunks of garlic like you would with a peeler. This pretty much just gets the skin off and nothing else, which works really well for me. And I like to do like half of it at once. And kind of spin it around the other way and get the other half off. There we go. Take our skins, toss them away. Set that spoon aside, we'll need it again. So this recipe has a lot of ingredients, but all of the ingredients are used twice. You're using them once for the marinade, and then you're using them twice the second time for the actual sauce. So it's kind of a really cool little thing. I know, I don't have any extra cans of tomato sauce, I'm sorry. Just not something that I stock. I'm gonna go ahead and chop these lengthwise into planks of garlic. I'm gonna take the rounded bit, actually set him aside, both rounded bits. And now I've got a flat surface that I can cut on. Like it's not gonna wobble on me while I'm trying to chop this. So here, I can now cut these into little rods of garlic. And then the rods I can spin 90 degrees and chunk down into cubes. There we go. That's about a tablespoon. Now, if you're preparing this in advance, for example, if you're not cooking along with me tonight and you want to do this on a Sunday night, do this Saturday night. And then on Sunday night, your chicken will have marinated in your yogurt mixture for 24 hours. And yogurt actually helps to kind of tenderize the chicken, and all of the flavor from the spices that we're going to be adding will have time to kind of absorb into the chicken. At the very least, you want to do this about an hour ahead. I'm not going to be having an hour ahead for tonight, so my chicken won't be as flavorful as yours. Get that nice and incorporated. And of course, I've got a list over here so that I can actually make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to be putting in 2 teaspoons of Garam Masala, which is a Indian spice. And my teaspoon won't actually fit into my thing, so I will use a half teaspoon. And that will. I'll do 4 of these. Make sure that while you're going up and down between measurement sizes that you accurately double or halve or whatever you're going to be doing with it. It's always embarrassing when you get that wrong. 1 teaspoon of turmeric. And I got that right here. What do you guys got planned for the weekend? Anything fun? I'm actually meeting a buyer tomorrow. We're going to go tour a condo in Martinez. And that should be a good time. Pretty cool buyer. Got him as a referral from another agent who was unable to take care of his needs. So I'm kind of taking him over. We're going to do some ground cumin, another teaspoon. And what's everybody drinking tonight? I told you what I'm drinking. What are you guys drinking? Wine? Jesse, did you answer? Game show music. Yeah, the stuff at the beginning, not right now. Right now, if I had music playing, people would be complaining because they couldn't hear me. Believe me, I've done plenty of YouTube things where that's been the case. I'm gonna set that over on the side. What else we got? Cumin. I said Kashmiri chili. You can also use chili powder. I'm not able to find Kashmiri chili here in my area, although I didn't try any of the specialty markets, so I probably could find it there. Been a bit busy this week, so did not go looking specifically for it. Chili powder works just fine, and chili powder is different than cayenne. Cayenne pepper is actually spicy. Chili powder has the not hot spice. Like chili powder is spicy but not hot. Cayenne is hot. And a teaspoon of salt. Give this a good mix. And the cool thing about this is this turns the yogurt into a really nice, almost paste, herb paste. You want to give it a really good mix and make sure that things are really, really well incorporated. And then your yogurt is basically a fat. All of the flavors in this are fat soluble, so they're going to be absorbed into the yogurt. And then when you put the yogurt over the chicken, it's almost like putting buttermilk over deep fried chicken. You're getting the kind of sour flavor from the yogurt, and it's also going to bring in a lot of the other flavors from the spice while you're getting that. It also tenderizes the chicken. Some of the acids in the yogurt help to tenderize the chicken. And I'm just making sure that I get all the corners covered, because oftentimes you forget about the corners, and then you got little bits of just plain yogurt in there. And we're just going to pour this in over our chicken. You don't have to worry about distributing it too perfectly or evenly. Just want to get it covered. There we go. Now again, if you're doing this in advance, you got a day or something like that, we're just going to stir this around, get everything covered with our tikka sauce. And then we would let this sit in the fridge for 24 hours max before we start cooking. We don't have that time today. There we go, and then we'll just kind of flatten everything out. once we make sure that everything's been kind of covered. Now, after you've added your chili powder to this, if you do enjoy spicy Indian food, you're more than welcome to go get some cayenne and sprinkle it over the top. It'll give it a nice little layer of spicy flavor. So I'm going to put that over to the side. Let's see, where's my lid for that? Over here somewhere, I hope. Oh, I know where the lid is. Get this covered, toss it in the fridge while we're working on our salad. You know, I do have cucumber paste. Cucumber paste. I do have tomato paste. Maybe I can make that into a tomato sauce. That might be what I do. And I have ketchup. So we're actually looking at me trying to figure out how I can get by without tomato. Oh, wait. I have tomato sauce. I have tomato sauce. It's up on the top shelf, so it's stepladder time because I am vertically challenged. Another way of saying I'm short. There we go. This is the best investment I ever made. I don't need tall people. Yeah, that's right. I can take care of myself. Awesome. Let's get started with our salad. So we're going to take our English cucumbers, which are these guys. I like to get these because they're covered in plastic. Other cucumbers, they usually put a little layer of wax to kind of protect them. This is plastic. No wax at all. We're just going to kind of cut through the plastic outer barrier. We're not going to cut through the cucumbers. But we are going to somehow try and peel this off. And we're going to just kind of top and tail them so that we have a nice uniform cucumber going back and forth. Plus, we can eat these end bits. Kind of what we get to do as chefs. I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to cut it in half. So I'm going to find about a halfway point. There's no reason to do this. Like, you can do the whole cucumber if you want. This is just easier, I find. Now I'm going to slice it vertically in half, like so. And this one vertically in half, like so. And I'm going to take care of my second one as well. See if I start on the end, if this makes it any easier. Aha! That's how you unwrap these bad boys. Okay, maybe not. Combination of both. There we go. These cucumbers are also a little bit sweeter, I find, than the regular style cucumbers you get at the store. And Safeway carries these, so I'm assuming all major shopping stores carry them. Again, I'm just going to kind of cut these in half, and cutting it in half just makes it easier to manage. We'll put the fatter end on the bottom. Just gives it a little bit more of a stable base while we're cutting through. Now, we've made salsa before, and when we've done our salsa, we've actually scooped out the seeds. For this, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to scoop out the seeds. There's a lot of water in the seed membrane, the membrane that's around the seed. We don't really want that. That's what makes our salads a little bit too watery. Cucumbers themselves also have a lot of water in them. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to give these guys a little bit of a dusting of salt in a colander and let them kind of drain out. While we prepare the rest of our stuff. So I'm just lightly running my spoon through the center and taking out the seeds. Yes, Kat, I hear you. There we are. Now, you do want these to be about a uniform thickness when you slice them. And you can use a mandolin if you want. It's a little bit too much trouble for my tastes. Kitty, stop it. I'm just gonna take them. When you're cutting stuff, let me see. This might be a better view for you. You always want to curl your fingers in like this. You want to make sure that there's no way that your knife can hit your finger when you're going up and down, right? So you can see my fingers are curled down and backwards. So in order to cut my finger, I would literally have to be cutting diagonally. I'm going to take care of my cat. I'll be right back. Come here. Kitty, kitty, come here. Hi. Yep, you come here. What? What? What is your problem? Huh? Why are you so weird today? Here, go play in the room that you're not allowed in. Okay. We will rinse our hands at the sink real quick with soap and water. Whenever you handle small animals, cats, dogs, children, always rinse your hands. A little bit of soap, a little bit of water. Just make sure that you don't get anybody who may be allergic, if they're going to eat your food, contaminated. Awesome, awesome. Amanda, I got my garden going right now. Yeah, it's looking really good. Nothing has come out of it yet. At the end of this, I might actually take you guys on a quick garden tour. I got a ton of tomatoes out there that are green, but not ripe yet. As we were saying, curl our fingers like this. There's no way you can cut yourself, and you can actually just kind of slice through pretty quickly by moving your hand back just a little bit every time you slice through. And there's no reason to go faster than you need to. If you're not comfortable with a knife, if you're afraid that you're going to cut yourself and you just want to kind of like take your time, that's cool. Just do one slice, one slice, one slice. As you get more comfortable and as you get more, I guess, accurate with the slicing and how much you need to move your hands, you can start actually just speeding yourself up. Eventually, you'll be able to go pretty quick. Always eat the last piece because it's the best piece, and nobody but the cook gets that. Sometimes the dog does if it falls off the cutting board, but anyway, I'm gonna work through these pretty quick. But again, I've been doing this for a very long time, and so I've gotten pretty used to chopping my way through. When you get really, really used to it, you can actually stack these guys. Once they have like 3 in a row, and then just make quick work of them. And we'll do this now so you guys can actually see the board. I don't like doing 3 wide. That gets a bit unwieldy. But 2 wide works pretty well. There we go. And you might be thinking, man, this is a lot of cucumber, and it is. I don't know what else to say to that. I mean, yes, it is a lot of cucumber. But this is an amazing salad. We're going to take that, we're going to put it with our other little cucumber bits so we can snack on them as we go. I'm going to grab my colander over here. We're just going to drop our cucumbers into there. Use our knife to kind of help scoop them off of the board here. Now the cucumbers are going to get salted with about a tablespoon of salt. Just my hands. And eyeball it. That's good. And we're going to kind of stir them around so that we get the salt distributed. And we're gonna set this over our sink to drain for about 20 minutes. We're also gonna chop up our onion right now for this salad. And the onion is going to go into a small bowl of water. That's actually gonna kind of temper the onion flavor, so you're not getting that raw onion flavor out of the onion. Cutting board out of the way. Let that kind of drain. And when we go back over there, those guys are going to be really wet. And we're going to have to kind of blot them off with a towel. Speaking of towel, just dry off our cutting board real quick. We'll come through here with a broom afterwards. After every cook along, it takes me like an hour to reset my kitchen. It's kind of fun. All right. Onion, we're just going to kind of cut off the bottom. You always want a flat surface when you're cutting, because if you have rockin' food, I mean, obviously, who doesn't want to be rockin', but it's not safe. If your food's rockin' and your knife is dull, even if your knife is sharp, if the thing rolls while you're trying to cut it, not a good thing. And then to clean off this outer skin, I just kind of grab the first layer and peel it off. If it's sticking like this one is, I'll actually cut it into a quarter. Not all the way down, but that'll let the skin peel off a lot easier, because you're not trying to pull off an entire, like half of an onion, you're just pulling off a quarter. It bends much better. There we go. We're just gonna do a half an onion. And I'm gonna, let's see, strategizing my next move. There's a couple of little papery pieces that I'm cutting out. Now, I'm actually going to cut my onion once horizontally, not all the way through, just about 2/3 of the way through. And now I'm just going to roughly cut down from the top, like so. Again, not all the way through. This is still one onion, not coming apart. Now when I do this, I get nice little cubes. It's the easiest way to chop up an onion. Again, once you get a little bit better at it, you can do it pretty quick and just like mow through onions. There's actually a really fun Gordon Ramsay video on YouTube if you want to go look it up, where it's Gordon Ramsay versus a prison inmate, I'm sorry, onion chopping contest. And it's from one of his British shows. And they take inmates and kind of reform them so that they can come out of prison and have jobs ready for them. And one of them is to be a cook. And so he goes in, and one of the prison inmate cooks can cut down an entire onion, like large onion, in, I think it's like 12 seconds. He just, and it's like really impressive. I recommend you go take a look at it. So we got our diced onion right here. We are going to, I think this is going to be too small. Yep, too small. Grab a medium-sized container. These plastic containers, they're just olive containers. I love olives. I go to Whole Foods every so often, and I grab the, now they're not self-serve, but I grab the things of olives there. And then I get to keep all the plastic pieces, the plastic containers as little prep things. We're going to fill this just covering the onions with water and let them sit for 10 minutes, and that'll kind of temper the onion flavor. Temper the sharpness of the onion, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's, you just leave it uncovered. You don't need to cover it or anything like that. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and get started with our sauce. I'm going to, actually, you know what? I'm not, because we're going to do our chicken first. So I'm going to pull my chicken out. It hasn't had very much time to marinate, just about 15 minutes. So we'll see how this ends up turning out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and grab a little prep plate for it. I'm going to take my chicken, We'll get this guy started, and I want this in like a medium, like a just above medium-high heat. The higher you go, you got yogurt in here, and when you put yogurt down in a pan, it's not going to want to come off. You're basically going to be burning the yogurt, so you don't want this too hot. However, you do want to sear your chicken, so it's kind of a dancing game, and you're going to be probably finding yourself raising and lowering the temperature on your skillet a couple of times while you're going. We're going to let this kind of heat up, add a little bit of vegetable oil, peanut oil if you have it. And I'm going to add a little bit more than I normally would, just to give it that little extra slickness, if you will. There we go, and we'll wait till our pan gets a little bit warm. And essentially what I'm going to be doing is frying this in batches. Sear, 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 put it on the plate. Sear, 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 put it on the plate. We're only doing this for like 2 or 3 minutes aside on the chicken pieces because we don't want to cook it fully. It's going to cook fully once we put it back into the masala sauce. So right now we're just trying to get it kind of seared and colored. And what this is also doing is this is putting extra chicken flavor into the pan. As it burns and as those bits get kind of stuck to the bottom, that's just going to kind of give our sauce another dimension of flavor. Pretty exciting. We're just going to let this kind of heat up. Again, you never want to put any kind of protein into a cold pan because it won't actually brown. It'll just kind of heat up with the pan and not really do anything, not color or anything. So you want to make sure that this is at least warm. Yeah, the forbidden room. So I've got a my bedroom, Cindy. I threw her in the bedroom, closed the door. I don't let her in there during the day because she goes crazy. I guess I could put the cat on camera. I could go find her. She's being kind of unruly, so I don't really want to do that. Did anybody tell me what they're drinking? Ah, Mom did. Lagunitas IPA. Love it. And Tony drinking milk. That's a good choice. Ooh, awesome. What is your favorite animal sanctuary, Felicia? Did I say cucumber and salsa? I don't use cucumber and salsa. I meant tabbouleh. I've been cooking tabbouleh since I was 18. Actually, probably a little bit younger than that. So, almost 18 years. Well, a little over 18 years, I guess. Let me do the math. Almost 18 years. 18 and 18 would be 36. So 2 years over 18. Or I'm wrong. I don't care. I'm cooking. So my oil is starting to shimmer. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I can't really see it, but it was also starting to kind of bubble in the middle. And I've got rice cooking, so I don't know if you can hear the rice cooker singing at me over there. Now when I put the chicken in, it's going to start frying. And remember when we did our scallops, we put the scallops in a clockwise motion. We're going to do the same thing with our chicken. And the reason we want to do this is because then we know exactly what order we're going to be flipping these. We don't have to guess. We know that the top one is the first one in. It's going to be the most cooked. And then as we go around, we can just grab the next most cooked and the next most cooked. Also, when we're testing our chicken, we only need to flip the first one to know if the rest of them are ready. Since we're taking the same amount of time in between each chicken piece, it's also going to take about the same amount of time to go and flip each chicken piece. So there is a little bit of method to the madness. And we're going to do one row around the outside, and then we're going to put another row around the inside. We got one there. I'm just going to let that kind of sit and cook, and then once I'm ready to flip, I'm going to test the top one, and if it's cooked enough, I'm just going to start like giving myself a couple seconds and flip the rest of them, and then they should all be cooked and browned perfectly. That's also how you do Brussels sprouts. If you're doing like a Brussels sprout dish, you get your fat going, you get all of that like ready to go and rolling, And then put the Brussels sprouts in one at a time as you're searing the one side. And you'll get perfectly cooked Brussels sprouts every time. None of them will be burned. They'll all be kind of nicely toasted. Yum, yum, yum. Wild yeast beer. What kind? Is it a, like, where is the brewery? Is it a local Montreal brewery? Or is it a brewery from somewhere else in the world? Squirrel wood. That's awesome. What do they sanctuary there? Is it just, I'm assuming it's not just squirrels. Although that is the easy joke, and I'm sure you've heard that one. I'm sure that's the first time you've heard that, right? Awesome. Very cool. Etienne, which brewery, man? Not quite done enough. I'm gonna let that go a little bit longer. So here's where I'm gonna say I'm gonna turn up the heat just a little bit. I'm using an induction cooker, so you would be playing with the gas. Induction is pretty much the exact same as gas, except it's electric. But the response time is the same, very quick. I'm just trying to be careful not to burn everything. So now is a perfect time to enjoy a little bit of extra cucumber. Yum. So while we're waiting, we're all going to need some more garlic and ginger and spices for our sauce, but they're all going to be mixed together. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that ready to go. While we're waiting, multitasking, efficient use of time. Let me move my plate over here. I want about a tablespoon of ginger. I'm just eyeballing it. The cool thing this time is we want finely grated ginger and finely grated garlic. So rather than chop them up, I am still going to do the spoon trick to get the skin off of the ginger. But what I'm going to do is use a microplane grater to pulverize this stuff instead of using my knife to chop it. There we go. Now I'm going to put my ginger and my garlic in the same bowl because they're going to go in at the same time. I'm going to put my spices in a second bowl because they're going to go in a little bit later. And we're also going to chop up an onion to go in there. All right, cool. So I can see that the sides are browning on these. Let's see what they look like. Yeah, that one's all right. How about you guys? Not bad. I'll allow it. What's happening here is I'm getting a lot of brown bits that are actually sticking to the pan, so when I flip over the chicken, oh, there we go. The center is getting a lot hotter than the outside. But the brown bits that are sticking to the pan are not coming up with the chicken. So it's looking like they're still a little bit undercooked, but it doesn't matter because they're going to be adding flavor to the pan and the sauce, which is the important part. Let's go ahead and grab this guy, microplane grater. Just going to grate it into the bowl. And be careful with your fingers. This is almost as sketchy as using a mandolin, but not quite. Microplanes are super sharp though. And what we want is when we're making the sauce, this is going to just kind of pulverize into the sauce, which is exactly what we want. The bigger pieces are great. We're frying them, so they're actually adding to the flavor of the rest of this, the chicken and everything. But when we're making the sauce, we don't want like pieces of garlic to be in the sauce. There we go. Now, with a microplane grater, usually a lot of it is on the back side, so I just use the back of a knife and just kind of scoop it out. As best you can. A lot of it will also come out when I grate the ginger, grate the garlic. There we go. That's about a tablespoon. And if you're going to be swiping it off the top side, just make sure you're going against the teeth. There we go. Now our garlic, we'll just kind of get the skins off. Light tap. Light tap. Skin should peel more or less right off. That piece of garlic is on the ground, however, still has the skin on it. So by peeling the skin off, it will be clean. I'm also going to rinse it in the sink. But I can be assured that most of it is clean. There we are. Before I grate that, I'm going to come back to my chicken, check the second side. There we go. Now we're looking good. I'm sure those center pieces are awesome. Yep. Cool, so for the next batch, we're going to be kind of focusing a little bit further away from the edges and putting things more into the center. However, again, all of this chicken is going to cook fully once we put it into the sauce. So the centers of your chicken are not going to be cooked regardless of how much you've seared them. And we're not looking for that. Go ahead and get these off onto the plate. And you'll notice that while we're doing this, we still got our cucumber and our onion over there. Which is fine, because we don't actually have to get to them until we're ready for them. Go ahead and grab some chicken. Do this a little bit closer to the center. Closer to the center. There we go. We probably have one more batch after this one. Now we got time to go ahead and take our garlic and do the same thing as we did with our ginger. Just kind of grate it down. There we are. Hey, Annika, how's it going? Avant-Garde is awesome. I've had a lot of their beer. They're really good. Yeah, Johnson, cast iron is all iron. So induction works by heating up steel, and cast iron is literally like the best way to cook on induction just because it can heat it up so quickly, because it's almost pure iron. Which is always why you see me using a cast iron skillet on these cook-alongs. I really don't use too much else anyway when I'm cooking, but specifically on these cook-alongs is because I cook out here on this island in the kitchen, and I can use my induction hot plate and toss a cast iron stove on it. Works really well. There we go. Now we're getting some color on these guys. All right, got our garlic done and our ginger done. I'm gonna put them on top of my salt. I'm gonna set you aside for now because I don't think I need you anymore. Move my spoon out of my way. Go ahead and dice up our onion. Top it, get us a nice flat surface here to cut through. Makes that easy. Once again, I like to just kind of peel off the, need to sharpen my knives. I like to peel off that top layer there. Just gonna kind of score it. Peel off the first layer of onion. That'll just peel the skin right off with it. There we are. I am also going to come over here and grab a little bowl. Knife out of the way. I want to cut this one a little bit more fine than I cut the last one, so I'm actually going to cut 2 slices almost all the way through it. You'll notice that your horizontal slices don't matter as much as your final dicing slices. So you can actually cut these kind of whatever thickness you want. The smaller the better, obviously. However, this is where it really kind of comes into play. After you've gotten this kind of diced up, now you're controlling how fine your dice is on this final cut. So I want these to be kind of fine. They don't have to be super fine, but I don't want them chunky like I did for the salad. And you control that by how far back you bring your hand as you're cutting through the onion. And then once you kind of get really, really close to the heel, it's going to get really hard to kind of cut it without it rolling. So what you do is you just flatten it, put it down on the flat surface, cut a couple of horizontal slices into it, and then you can just kind of slice around, another couple of slices in this way, and you can use up 99% of the onion. And all you got left is the heel. You can compost it, throw it away, whatever you do with it in your area. We'll get all of this into the bowl. And we'll do the second half. Now the heel of my knife is actually a lot sharper than the point, which is why you see me kind of running the heel through to score this bad boy. All right, same thing. We're going to do just one cut this way. You'll notice that I'm keeping my hand flat and far away from the knife. You don't want to tempt fate. I'm not putting too much pressure, just enough to kind of hold the onion in place as I'm cutting horizontally. And then again, same this way. As far as I cut through, I don't need to make these too close together because the real size comes once I turn it this way and really kind of start cutting through it. Get that one piece that fell, chop it up, and now I'm sizing my onion up. All right, before I get to this, I think this is starting to burn, so I'm going to move these guys over onto the plate. Kind of loosen them up a little bit. Transfer them. You'll notice that I am having bits stick to the bottom, and that's fine, because they're just going to add flavor to the sauce. That's actually the secret to a lot of sauces that you get. Like if you go to a restaurant, like a fine dining place, and they have a really cool sauce that comes on top of whatever you just had, like you order a steak and it comes with a really nice butter sauce or something like that. Usually they just sear the steak, and then with the bits that are kind of seared to the pan, they make a really quick pan sauce. And you can do the same thing at home. It's actually really not that hard. But it's the same principle. You're just using whatever's burned down under the bottom of the pan, a little bit of acid, so wine or lemon or something that's acidic, and it actually helps release all of the burn bits and incorporate them into the sauce. And then you can look super fancy by using a really simple technique. By the way, my kitchen smells like an Indian restaurant right now. It is absolutely incredible smelling in here. All right, cool. So we're done with this. I'm going to set this aside. We'll let that cook while we finish up with our stuff over here. Set you on the plate. And so I'm just going to cut a couple of slices this way, a couple of slices this way, a couple of slices this way. And then I'm just going to chop around, chop around, chop around. And again, I'm using like 90%, 99% of the onion. All I got is the heel. That into the bowl. And this looks like a ton of onion, but when we put it in there and start getting the sauce to kind of like sauce down, it's going to break down into almost nothing. It's like spinach in a way. You start off with a huge honkin' pile of spinach and it basically like evaporates into nothing. Cool, cool. Onion is done. So now what we will do is we'll get our spices mixed into a bowl. So I got another bowl here. We'll see what our spice mix is going to be. Got our onion. We're going to need some butter. Ginger we got. Cool. We're going to do 1.5 teaspoons of Garam Masala. So again, these are the exact same spices that we used for our marinade. Add a little bit extra because I didn't quite get a full half teaspoon there at the end. So the ingredients list looks like it's huge, but it's just the same ingredients over and over again. What's next? Garam Masala, Ground Cumin. Another 1.5 teaspoons. Turmeric powder. This one I think we want 1 teaspoon, yes. Again, I'm using a half teaspoon measure, so I'm doubling everything up. 1 teaspoon ground coriander. Oh, look at that, this one's not even opened. It's almost as if I ran out when I made my test batch and had to go and grab another container. Do 1 teaspoon of that. Got our tomato puree. We want our chili powder. Another teaspoon, I believe. Yep. Now again, you can add a little bit of cayenne if you want, and I think I am. So let me grab some cayenne pepper here. We'll get that going. Do about a teaspoon of this, add some heat. And if you make this and you're like, hey, you know what? I really like a little bit more spice, just up it next time. Just remember that you like a little bit more cayenne. Add a teaspoon and a half. Don't overdo it because you can very quickly with cayenne pepper, especially the powder, take things to a level that you're not going to enjoy. How do I know? I've done it. I like to add cayenne pepper into my hummus. And one time I was just like, oh man, I've done like I've done 1/8 of a teaspoon. I've done 1/2 of a teaspoon. None of this is good enough. I'm gonna throw in like 1.5 teaspoons. Hummus was not edible. It was not fun. Too hot. Tasted great. Just super, super hot. There we go. A few more burn bits on this. But that's all good. Let this cook a little bit longer. And then our spice blend is done. We can just kind of mix this around with our spoon. You can add salt to this if you'd like. I'm going to add salt later when I taste the sauce. I'll season it to taste. So our spices are done, this is done, our onions are done. So this is just getting everything in place so that we can quickly add it. I need some brown sugar, which I've got up in here. Just a little bit. And what's last? Water, fresh cilantro, and our cream. I've got my cream right here. I want, what, 1 1/4 cups? So now I'll use my big cup measure, add in 1, and then what I'll do is just kind of fill that up, eyeball 1/4 cup. And I want my butter. I'm using unsalted butter, and the reason I'm using unsalted butter is because I don't want to oversalt my dish. If you use unsalted butter, you control the salt. You control how salty or unsalty whatever you're making is. If you get salted butter, you kind of have to assume that you're going to be adding salt, like it's going to be adding salt to your dish, so it's going to make it way saltier than you expect. Not always the intended outcome. I love using salted butter on bread, because I don't want to add salt to bread, and salted butter is pretty much perfectly salted for bread, in my opinion. But when I'm cooking or baking, I'll just do the salt myself. Yeah, Tian, I need to sharpen my knives too. They're getting pretty dull. All this cooking along. All right, cool. So we'll go ahead and get this chicken off onto our plate. And we'll get our sauce started. So we're gonna go ahead and take our butter, just drop it right in the middle and let it melt. I am gonna grab a large spoon and a spatula. I'm gonna start with my spoon. If you're using nonstick, you probably won't have this problem. But if you are not using nonstick, you got all this scrapey bits on the bottom. Just gonna go ahead and start scraping them off with my spoon. As the butter melts, it's actually gonna start releasing some of this stuff, so I'm just gonna kind of get a head start on it. If you have a wooden spoon, that works as well. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need like a clean bottom pan. You just want to get all the big bits off. There we are. Now I'm going to toss in my onions. They're actually going to release quite a bit of moisture as well. And when they release their moisture, that's going to release some of the rest of the brown bits that are stuck to the bottom. Get those in. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit more. We're going to fry these guys until they're soft. Get them kind of incorporated in with the butter and the brown bits. fling them all over your kitchen. That's another thing you can do with them. I'm known for doing that. All right, there we go. We'll let these guys kind of sit and soften a little bit. And while we do that, we'll prep something for our salad. I really, really like avocado in salad. So what I'm going to do, where'd my knife go? Ah, right here. I'm going to get an avocado prepped. And I'll show you the way I like to do it. Similar to the onion. You're just going to cut the avocado in half, cut down to the stone, the seed in the middle. You just kind of roll it around until you cut all the way around. Turn it in half and your avocado will split into 2 pieces. Stab into the seed and then you can toss it into the garbage. You're good to go. Now what I like to do is very similar to the onion, just kind of score through the skin. Because then I can set it down on my cutting board and actually just peel off the skin. And you'll notice my avocado is pretty soft. And yet I'm still able to peel the skin right off. Now if you don't score it, you're trying to pull like an entirely concave piece and turn it convex. Doesn't quite work. But if you cut it right down the middle, you're breaking a lot of that stress and a lot of that support. You can peel it right off. So while I did that, give this another stir so that my onions don't stick to the pan. Guests, hello! And dog. Thank you so much. You know what? I actually found some in my... How's it going, Jack?
That's pretty good. How are you doing?
Excellent. So I got Jack and Jacqueline are here. One of them is an awesome agent in our office. The other one is an awesome agent at a different office. And I invited them over, along with a couple of other colleagues who will be a little bit later. You guys want to come over here and say hi? Yeah. I'll switch over here. And my dog, of course, is saying hi as well, so he's going nuts. So this is Jacqueline Rowell. She's an awesome agent at the, that one. So she's with the Renee White team at Keller Williams, and this is Jack Stanger, I think, right?
Yeah.
And he's with Compass. So awesome agents. What team are you on with Compass?
Lisa?
Awesome, yep.
Yeah.
So they're great agents. I invited them over for some food.
It smells so good.
Thank you so much for bringing the tomato sauce.
We got some wine.
And they brought some wine. Let me get you some glasses, and we'll get you set up.
No worries. Don't want to interrupt.
No, you're good. So we're getting these guys just kind of peeled off.
Ooh.
Doing avocados. Feel free to have a seat if you'd like.
I feel like we're on the Emerald Live show.
You kind of are. Now what I need is a microphone for you guys so that people can hear you.
It smells tasty.
There you are.
I can smell the turmeric or the curry.
Oh yeah, I got all kinds of stuff in there. And I have a... Be right back. I have a bottle opener for that. Do. Don't ask me why my bottle opener is in my office. Hey, and Mike's here.
Hey, Mike. Back to come in. Good.
There you are. Do you guys need me to open the wine, or are you good?
Yeah. Oh, I brought wine. Do you want some wine?
I don't have a wine glass for you. I only have 2 wine glasses. However, I can give you a Guinness glass. Is that okay?
Totally works.
There you go. How's it going, man?
Good. How you doing?
Good to see you.
You too.
This is going great. Running a little late because I couldn't find my tomato sauce, but other than that, we're doing good. So we got our onions in here. They're nice and soft. And basically what we're going to do now is just kind of clear a little bit of space in the center. And we're going to take our garlic and our ginger. And we're going to put them right into the pan here. We're just going to kind of let them simmer for just a second. Right on the pan. And that's going to release a little bit of aroma that you're not going to get if you just kind of mix it in right in. So let it do that for a second. Toss that over to the side. That's good. And now we'll just start mixing this and incorporating it. Very good, very good. And it smells absolutely fantastic in the kitchen right now. There we go. We're gonna go ahead and add the rest of our seasonings in here. And the reason we're adding this before we add anything else is we're actually toasting the spices, which is kind of a really cool thing. It adds a little bit of extra flavor, a little bit of extra depth. So these are actually the first people that I've had over since quarantine started, which is actually kind of cool. So
The last 60 days.
yeah, basically the last, what Valerie Kroll has it on her thing. I think it's like 74 days or whatever it's been, however long it's been.
Yeah, since before Kentucky Day.
Yeah, yeah. So, been a while.
I got your message. I knew exactly why. I was like, oh, he got the green light to have people over. He's having.
There we go. Oh yeah, 100%, man. You can have small gatherings. We're having small gatherings. So we got this going. It's looking very, very tasty. Next up, we got our tomato puree. Sorry, thank you for getting me tomato puree.
Oh, I got tomato sauce. Well,
It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
oh, okay.
Get that poured in. And the tomato sauce, the tomato puree is going to also, the acids are going to help kind of release some of the other stuff that's down on the bottom. We're going to turn down our heat so we don't burn it. We want this down to like medium low. Well, I'm sorry, like medium, medium high. And we're just going to kind of start incorporating this stuff. And it smells phenomenal in here. It always sucks when I have to make these, on the Monday before to take those photos. And then I have to eat it all by myself. Too bad. I didn't invite everybody. We're only allowed to have small gatherings. So I invited a couple people that I like to hang out with, and I figured that it would be a good time.
You should have like guest people.
I might.
Forward.
Yeah, that is something that I was thinking
Like
about.
realtor talk,
That would actually be pretty good, having like a realtor talk show, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just repeating it in case they can't hear you.
Yeah.
What am I doing here? Cool. We're gonna let this kind of sit and chill for about 10 to 15 minutes at like a medium high heat. And while we're doing this, we're gonna go right back to our cucumber salad. So, get a clean bowl. Got our onions. We're gonna get our cucumbers, which have been kind of draining in the sink. Grab a dish towel, grab a paper towel, whatever you'd like. First door on the right. Get these guys in here, and we're just gonna kind of blot off any extra moisture. There we go. Just set that back over there. Just kind of blot. Don't have to be perfect. But what this is going to do is basically make it so that your dressing doesn't get over-watered. Drain our onions in the sink. Do the same thing with the onions. I'm actually going to do it in the colander over here. While I'm over here. Just make it a little bit easier. Light pressure. There we are. Now I'm waiting for this to start simmering, and it's not, so I'm actually going to turn it up and let it get to simmering. Give it a good stir. Now, if your sauce is getting too thick, you can always add a little bit of water. I'm going to let mine kind of go for a bit and see what it looks like, but we will check on it in a bit. These are all good. I'm going to take my avocados here. I'm just going to chop them into quarter-inch cuts, quarter-inch slices here. And then cube. And then the same with this one. And And these are going to go straight into the salad. Mm-hmm. It's delicious.
You should go on Top Chef.
I tried out for MasterChef.
Yeah, did you?
I did. I made pomegranate chicken and tabbouleh, and the judge told me that it was the best tabbouleh he'd ever seen,
Yeah.
and it was the best tabbouleh he'd ever tasted.
Wow.
And the chicken was good,
Yeah.
and I didn't have an interesting story, so thank you. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
I'm not a heroin addict. I don't have a family that's like
Right,
falling
right.
into disrepair, so it didn't quite work out for me, but that's okay. The food was delicious.
That's the most.
Exactly. All right, so this is starting to simmer. I'm going to turn it down a little bit and just kind of let it go for a low simmer. That is getting a little bit too thick, so I'm going to add some water. Give it a stir and incorporate it. I don't want to add too much water because I'm going to be adding a bunch of cream in just a second once this has had a chance to kind of marinate in itself. Good on this. We're going to take a huge bunch of mint. You basically want like a 1/4 cup chopped. And we're just going to give this one real quick chop through like this. And sprinkle it into our salad. Same thing with our feta. Oh look, I missed one. Give it a nice little shake. Take your feta over your salad like so. And then we'll check on the dressing ingredients here. We're going to do about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. You can totally mix this aside if you want and then pour it over incorporated. It doesn't really matter. Do that. We want about 2 tablespoons of, I'm sorry, 1/4 cup of rice vinegar or white wine vinegar. So whichever works best for you. I'm using rice vinegar because it's more Asian. Gives it a little bit lighter flavor. Pour that over everything. And what we're doing is we're kind of pickling the cucumbers and the onions, and it gives them a little bit of a nice, light, sweet flavor. Do 2½ teaspoons of brown sugar or white sugar. I tend to like the brown sugar better, and I'm just going to sprinkle it in. Actually, you know what? I am going to use white sugar. Behind my olive oil. Trying to eyeball it, sprinkle it in. There we are. And we're just going to give that a stir. Set it in the fridge, let it marinate while the rest of the sauce process takes place. Get all of this fully incorporated. Ooh, yeah, you can definitely do dill on this too. That's amazing. That's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. There is definitely a healthy amount of butter in this. Got our sauce starting to burn to the bottom of the pan. It's my fault for not paying attention, but that's not a bad thing. There we go. We're going to go ahead and add our 1¼ cup of cream to this sauce. There's our cup. Here comes our 1/4. There we are. We'll stir to incorporate. Now you are mixing a thicker or a thinner sauce into a thicker sauce, so you kind of want to just stay in the middle and just slowly kind of spiral out as you're mixing everything. And what will end up happening is you'll be picking up more and more of the thicker sauce and incorporating the thinner sauce into it. And that's how you get this all mixed together. And then once you got it mostly incorporated, you can start kind of going around the outsides. Otherwise, the different viscosities are actually going to push the sauces away from each other, and that's where you start splashing all over the pan, splashing over the sides. And there we go. Now we can let this kind of sit. Turn down the heat a little bit and let this low simmer. And while we're waiting for that to simmer, we're going to add our chicken right back into it. There we go. Go ahead and get this incorporated into the sauce. And the sauce is going to finish cooking the chicken, essentially is what's going to end up happening. There we go. Turn it up just a bit. The cooler chicken is actually stopping the sauce from simmering. So we'll just kind of get it up until it starts simmering again. Salad is done. Chicken will be done in about 10 minutes. And we're good to go. Last thing I'm going to do with the salad, add a little bit of black pepper. Give it another stir. And then I'm probably going to add a little bit of salt as well. I'm not going to oversalt this because the feta already has a bunch of salt in it. You don't want to make this way too salty. But I am going to try one. Bit. Just kind of dust it with a little bit of salt. And we'll notice that our masala sauce over there is simmering, which is perfect. You just want to make sure it doesn't get too energetic with the simmer. Very awesome. Almost done, guys. Mm-hmm.
I know, yeah.
Get that going.
Smell-o-vision.
Yeah, you guys get to smell it. That's awesome.
As soon as I walked in the door, are you kidding?
Yeah, the place, it's like an Indian restaurant. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Woo! You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Good food and friends.
How's everybody on the internet doing? Jealous? Dog did not open the door. No, the cat is actually the one who's locked in the room. The dog is free to roam, so he's allowed to come out and say hi to people. But the cat was out here meowing earlier. You guys missed that. She was like up on the treadmill, up on the TV, meowing, meowing, meowing. I was like, all right, cat, you got to go somewhere. So she went into the room. She got locked into the room. Yep, Susan missed the invite. I didn't invite you. I'm sorry. I will invite everybody eventually.
Sorry, Susan.
Yeah, this was just a small gathering since that's what we're allowed to do right now. Felicia, yeah, if you lived out here, you'd be more than welcome to come over for food. Do cook chefs have to wear masks while cooking food that other people will be eating? Right now, I don't think so, because I believe when you're cooking, well, you know what? That's an interesting question. I don't know. I'm not a professional chef. I would defer that to somebody who actually works in a restaurant. However, since you are cooking everything, you are essentially disinfecting it. So maybe the cooks. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's a really great question. I do not. And I have not.
Good to go.
And I've not had any flu symptoms for the 9 days or however long we've been in quarantine.
We're good to go then.
Yes, we should be. Yes, the dill cucumber salad sounds amazing. And radish, yes. I'm not going to read that comment, Larry King. Interesting comment, though.
What is it? Can I read it?
You can read it if you get. Interesting comment for sure. Johnson, yes, this is going to be amazing. Give it a little bit of a shake-a. Armenian side, want yogurt with my salad. No, but I am going to put a little bit of yogurt on the plate with the chicken tikka masala. It does kind of cool it down. So if you actually overheated your chicken by adding a little bit too much cayenne pepper or whatever, you can add a little bit of yogurt and it'll temper that heat a little bit. This is probably the longest Cook Along Live I've done. A little bit of a setback when I thought I didn't have tomato sauce, but we worked through it. So we're almost done. We're just waiting on this to go and waiting on the salad to kind of marinate for another 5 to 10 minutes. Well, 5 minutes, and we're good to go. But no yogurt with my salad. Mike, are you seeing that comment?
Oh, no, that one? I can't see it.
It's the third one from the. I'll read it. Sometimes I poop in the shower and play waffle stomp. That is true, by the way. No, it's not. I'm kidding. Anyway. Yes, it is. Very nasty.
No wonder why you said I could read it.
Well, I didn't want you to read it out loud. I just wanted you to like find it on the screen and laugh about it privately. I'm going to give my chicken a stir real quick just to make sure that the sauce doesn't burn to the bottom of the pan. And since it is a creamy sauce, that is very likely to happen. So just give it a couple of stirs and then let it simmer a little bit longer. Again, we are almost done. What I can start doing is getting the rice out. So we got some lovely rice to go with our lovely chicken. I'm just going to kind of fluff it up a little bit with my little ricey spoon.
Feels pretty good not to spend $7. Feels good not to spend $7 here.
You guys want to just put the chicken on top of this and then scoop it, or do you guys want to scoop your own rice and then do that separately?
Whatever you think is good. Yeah, no, plate it so it looks good.
I can do that. I've been told to plate it so that it looks good. I don't know if you guys can hear what they're saying. That's the only reason I'm repeating stuff. I'm going to give this another 2 minutes, but I am going to get my salad ready. I'll let you guys serve yourselves from this. Set that there. Good on this. This looks good. I'm just going to let it go for a little bit longer. Where did my... Here it is. Lose track of stuff when you have so many things going on. So, is this as nerdy as you expected it to be?
Oh, I think it's really cool. I like your setup. I mean, it's pretty legit, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
Should do it behind the scenes. I should do a live video of you right now.
You could if you want. I mean, that'd be a lot of fun.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, Sting Finty? I like it. No, this is not a top chef apron. This is a top chief apron. This is the nerdy bit. Back in the day, we used to run a Bungie's software fan site, and we were big Halo nerds. And so when Halo came out, one of my friends who was also into cooking about as much as I am, his name is Joey, he made the cooks of our little friend group all aprons that say Top Chief and has a little picture of the assault rifle as opposed to the Top Chef knife. So that's where this apron came from. But I love wearing it because it's a nice light apron, and when it's as hot as it's been in California, this is a nice little, rather than having a super thick apron that's going to make it.
68 degrees.
Yeah, I love it. Are you guys cold?
No, good. All good.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Cool, so I think we're done with this. Let's go ahead and get it served up. And where'd my spoon go? Salad spoon, so I will do this. So I'm going to focus on pulling the chicken out first and just kind of serving it right on the middle and letting it just kind of fall where it may. Now, as you're pulling the chicken out, of course, you're going to be pulling out a lot of the sauce, so you don't really have to worry too much about that. I'm being judged by the realtors.
No, in a good way.
No,
The
in a good
kitchen
way,
is
good
good.
I'm being judged in a good way, for sure. They definitely love the kitchen.
Wait until after they put on it.
For sure. After the wine and some food, that's when the truth will come out. All right, so there we go with the chicken. I will pause the cook because we don't need to heat up the sauce anymore. Set that there as a scooper. Now again, what I'm going to do is grab a little bit of yogurt. I'm going to give it kind of a mixy mix. Scoop it out like so. Dollop right in the middle. And then if anybody wants to scoop some out, they're more than welcome to. I've still got the tray over there as well. We're good with our chicken, we're good with our salad, and we're good with our rice underneath. Perfect. I'll set that there. Here we go with the glamour shot.
Ooh.
A little bit of a scoop of
That's sour
rice.
cream on top?
No, it's yogurt.
Oh, interesting.
It goes well with a dish. This is definitely a messy dish, so the glamour shot is not going to be that glamorous. However,
Yeah.
That's
That's a
the
big
the
plate.
serving dish.
That's a big plate.
you guys are welcome to serve yourselves as well.
Oh, wow. That looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Holy moly. That looks good.
Now we'll go ahead and add a little bit of salad on the side here.
Good.
You want first?
Go ahead. You guys go. That looks so good.
And there we go, chicken tikka masala with minted cucumber salad. We're done. Cheers, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend.
Woo!
Hope y'all are doing well. Hope that everything you got going on this weekend is going to be good. And we'll see you next week. Next week, we're doing jambalaya. I'm doing that for my brother-in-law. He requested it specifically 3 weeks from last week, so it's going to be next week. And should be another fun cook-along. That one should take about an hour, so about a half hour less than this week. But this is going to be an amazing meal, and I'm glad that I'm sharing it with a bunch of really good friends. So you all have a great weekend.
Cheers.
I do need naan. Yes, I should have gotten some naan. I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't think about stuff. Thank you so much. All right, guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, that's great. Good job.
Thank you.
Great.